Hey everyone, what is up? It's your friendly neighborhood eggs over here, and I thought I'd do a video that's a little bit different. A Marvel video because with all of the DC TV shows on, I barely ever get to do Marvel stuff, and because I love Marvel, I thought I would do a ranking of all 11 TV shows that are inside the MCU. So this is whether they're ongoing, whether they're cancelled, whether they're over, whatever, and they have to be inside the MCU. So the Netflix shows, the ABC shows, the Freeform show, and the Hulu show. I don't think I missed anything there. But yeah, I will jump right into it. So in 11th place, I have Marvel's Inhumans. Now this is probably the most obvious one, and I would imagine out of all 11 shows, even out of the ones you haven't seen, I would imagine most people would put Inhumans at 11. Because it's the only thing in the entirety of the MCU I would consider horrible, like abysmally bad. Iron Fist, I know a lot of people give Iron Fist Season 1 a lot of flack, but I really enjoyed Iron Fist Season 1. Jessica Jones Season 2 I do think is bad, but I don't think it's anywhere near the terribleness in Humans Season 1 was. And just out of all the movies, none of the movies ever stooped to anything less than mediocre in my opinion. So in this, I think it was a no-brainer Inhumans would fall here. And it's so sad too, because the Inhumans are such a cool bunch of characters. It just sucks that Marvel really wanted to make the Inhumans the new X-Men because they couldn't use X-Men. So because of that, Inhumans got turned into a kind of a mess. Because Black Bolt, the leader of the King of the Inhumans, he is one of the most badass characters in the entirety of Marvel. He went toe to toe with Thanos in the Infinity comic from 2014. Black Bolt's also a member of the Illuminati, the people who protect the Infinity Stones, well, the Infinity Gems. And also the cast for this show was unbelievable. The three main people, Anson Mount playing Black Bolt, now plays Captain Pike in Star Trek Discovery. Serinda Swan, who played Medusa, Black Bolt's wife. The only thing I know her from is Zatanna in Smallville, but she was great in that. And the third person, and who probably the most well-known, is Ewan Rehan, who played Maximus in this, Black Bolt's brother. He is Ramsay Bolton in Game of Thrones. So it's kind of crazy that with that cast, with these amazing characters, this turned out how it did. But it's just a disappointment. In 10th place, I have Agent Carter. Now, Agent Carter isn't terrible. Agent Carter actually had a bunch of kind of just little glimpses of greatness. But the show was cancelled for a reason. And the show had a promise. Before the show started, it was said that this would be the beginnings of S.H.I.E.L.D. This would show a world that loved Captain America and now doesn't have him anymore. The show didn't live up to either of those. Now, the show showed a lot of the SSR, but it pretty much never actually delved into the beginnings of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yes, it tiptoed around the idea a lot. We saw Howard Stark talk about how he wanted to make his own government agency, or how he wanted to make something like this. Peggy always said she was on board with it, but we never went anywhere. Instead, we had the show kind of delve with just Mystery of the Week stuff, and just kind of delve with Russian war kind of stuff. And the first episode, focused on, America losing Captain America and the after effects of that, but that was it. He's never really touched on much again, and it's just, while I did enjoy some of this show, I think overall it never really rose above anything mediocre, and I kind of see why it was cancelled. I was disappointed when it was cancelled because I feel like if it really could have went somewhere, but overall there were a lot of better Marvel shows out there, and out of all the Marvel shows we've lost, this definitely is one of the ones that I cared about the least. In 9th place is another cancelled Marvel show, but it is Luke Cage. Now, Luke Cage, again, isn't bad, but it is the most mediocre Marvel Netflix show I find. I think that both seasons 1 and 2, neither one of them are great. Season 1 was good for a bit. Season 2 was also pretty good. For a bit. But they both did kind of dumb things, and neither of them ever really got me too invested that I wanted to see it continue more. And out of all the Marvel Netflix shows that have been cancelled, this is the one that I felt the least. This is the one that I kind of went, okay, well, if this is the one I have to say goodbye to, this is the one I'll say goodbye to. That said, however, the cast is amazing for it. Seeing Mike Coulter's Luke Cage hang around with Danny Rand, that was always brilliant. And those are the kind of things I'm going to miss from this. But the main plot of Luke Cage, that's the thing that I really couldn't care about, and I'm not going to miss it all. In 8th place is Marvel's Runaways, the first show on this list that is still going. Season 2 came out on December 21st, I believe, and full disclosure, I have not seen Season 2 yet. Season 2 of Runaways is actually the only thing in the entire MCU I haven't caught up on yet. I've seen Season 1 though, and I'm actually currently rewatching Season 1 before I get into Season 2, but to be honest, I honestly thought Runaways was going to end up further down on this list, because I remembered loving Season 1, but on my rewatch of it currently, I'm currently on episode 9, I'm not enjoying it near as much as I remembered enjoying it. And I actually am kind of finding it a slog, slow, and while there are definitely some plot beats I'm enjoying, most of it I'm finding pretty bland and uninteresting. I have heard Season 2 is much better than Season 1, so maybe I should have waited to watch Season 2 first, and that could have pushed this further down on my list. But at the moment, I think that, yeah, this deserves to be in the spot it's in. In 7th place, I have Marvel's Defenders, and this is by far the most disappointing one on the list. Again, Defenders is actually, for some of it, is quite good. The first 4 episodes are really good. The next group of episodes, the following 4, are terrible. Well, they're not terrible, but they're definitely disappointing and a huge downgrade from the first 4. But that's the thing, this episode should have been amazing all the way around. This is a culmination of the entire Marvel Netflix universe to that point. So this should have been much bigger than it was. And you've got 4 good episodes and 4 not so good episodes, and so overall it makes the whole thing feel kind of meh. And it's just a show that I wouldn't jump at the chance to rewatch, but I would jump at the chance for them to try and do a Season 2, but we'll never get that. In 6th place, and the most recent Marvel show, The Punisher. Season 2 came out last month, January 17th, I want to say. Punisher Season 1 was great. I really enjoyed it, and I don't have much problems with it. It was slow at times, but overall I think it was definitely a win for Marvel. Season 2, on the other hand, was a bit of a downgrade from the first season. It was slower, the characters were less sympathizable, it had the problem of juggling 2 plot points instead of just one main plot, and because of that, the whole season kind of fell down because of that, because it had to try and juggle 2 plots rather than just one. And because of this, the whole show overall kind of felt the impacts of the second season. And I found myself kind of thinking by the end of Season 2, if this is how the show ends, I'm going to be annoyed, but I'm going to be more annoyed at the show for doing it this way. Because one thing that both seasons kind of did was juggle, they tiptoed around Frank being the Punisher. They barely ever actually let Frank be the Punisher, and that was no more evident than in Season 2, when he basically isn't the Punisher at all, until the very end of the show. And that kind of makes it disappointing, and that's kind of why it didn't go any higher on this list for me. Now my top 5. In 5th place, I have Jessica Jones. So Jessica Jones Season 1 and 2 are probably the biggest stark contrast on this entire list. If I find a show on this list bad, normally both of its seasons, or how many ever seasons of it that it has, aren't that great. If I find a show on this list good, mostly I enjoy all of its seasons pretty equally, even if I enjoy some more than others. With Jessica Jones, I absolutely adored Season 1. I wanted more of it. With Season 2, I hated it, and I couldn't wait to finish it fast enough. And that's the biggest contrast I can say to maybe any comic book TV show. Even with Arrow Season 4, and say Arrow Season 4 and Season 5. I love Season 5, I don't love Season 4. I still got some good amount of enjoyment out of Arrow Season 4. With Jessica Jones, I barely got any enjoyment out of Season 2. And the only reason this show is this high up in the list is because Season 1 was fantastic, and I will still say that Jessica Jones Season 1 is one of the best things to come out of Marvel ever. It is phenomenal. Everything in that season works so well. Everything in Season 2 works so badly, and it's a little sad, but I'm hoping Season 3 will be able to capture some of the magic that made Season 1 work so well. In 4th place, I have Marvel's Cloak and Dagger. Now, I'm not going to stay on Cloak and Dagger for too long because I can't remember much about it. I've only seen it the one time when it first came out, and I haven't watched it since, although I will give it a rewatch soon before season 2 comes out. But I do remember really enjoying this and being really surprised by the quality of it. I believe this is the only Marvel MCU TV show outside of the Netflix ones to actually reference the Netflix shows. This show references both Danny Rand and Jessica Jones, and it's the first one. Oh, and it also has some pretty big tie-ins to Luke Cage, with one of the main people who's a police officer having ties to Misty Knight from Luke Cage. I forget the police officer in this show's name, but I do remember really enjoying it, and I remember loving both the leads, Tyrone and wow, I can't for the life of me remember their names. Tyrone, who was Cloak, and the girl who was Dagger. I remember loving them both, and I need to rewatch the show, but I am really excited for season 2. In third place, I have Iron Fist. This is probably one that will surprise most people, because I know that people love to hate on Iron Fist season 1, and even at that, I know a lot of people actually consider season 2 as well pretty mediocre. But I liked season 1 and I loved season 2. Season 1 was definitely a little bit of a downgrade from some of the other Netflix stuff we got, from Marvel Netflix stuff we got, but I still thought it was perfectly fine. It was still better than a lot of the other Marvel Netflix shows. But season 2 upped everything. Season 2 is honestly the only Marvel Netflix show besides Daredevil to actually fully embrace its comic book roots. We had Danny being a hero for most of that season, wearing a mask, trying to be the Iron Fist. Whereas Punisher, both seasons will kind of tiptoe around being the Punisher. Jessica Jones seasons will tiptoe around her being a hero. Luke Cage, he doesn't really want anything to do with anybody. Iron Fist, nope, I'm gonna be a hero. I'm gonna save my city. And it was great as well because it came right after Daredevil died in Defenders. So we had Danny kind of needing to be a hero to take the place that Daredevil left. And it was just a really enjoyable show. I really would say that if you were iffy on season 1 of Iron Fist, check out season 2, because it's one of the only Marvel Netflix shows that does feel like a hero show. In second place, speaking of heroes and Marvel Netflix, I have the sadly RIP'd Daredevil. Now, yeah, again, I know what a lot of people were saying. What? Daredevil in second place? Daredevil is a first place candidate. And it is. It definitely is. And if anybody put Daredevil in first place, I wouldn't say anything. I would agree with you. I think quality-wise, Daredevil season 1 should be in first place. Enjoyment-wise, it's not the one I personally enjoy the most. I love Daredevil. I've loved all 3 seasons. There's barely been a minute of all of these 3 seasons that I've not liked. I've loved everything about them. Charlie Cox is a perfect Matt Murdock. Foggy Nelson, Karen Page. This Punisher in this show was better in Daredevil season 2 than he is in his own show. That's how great Daredevil is. It just does everything so well. And the one-shot prison scene is one of the best moments I think I've seen in any comic book live-action thing ever. Daredevil is honestly the perfect comic book show. That said, however, there is one show that I just get a little bit more enjoyment out of, and that is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., a lot of people know, had a rocky start. Season 1 didn't capture people, and to be honest, I didn't really get into it until Season 2. That said, though, since then, it has become, in my opinion, the pristine and just the token image for what a comic book show should be. This is Marvel's golden child, in my opinion, and even the movies, I find, have a hard time putting out some of the quality that this show continually does. If we were to rank everything in the MCU, I think my ranking would be Captain America the Winter Soldier, Avengers Infinity War, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is better than almost everything else in the MCU. Daredevil's close though, don't get me wrong, but just Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. knows how to really bring in the comic book roots. Hell, the show started as just these guys going around a plane doing Mystery to Week things. Season 5 had them not just go to space, but go to space in the future. Season 4 had them go into, it was a computer hollow kind of place, but it was like a different reality. And it was so damn good. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is The only other comic book show I like more than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is Arrow, and I'm just gonna say Arrow most of the time doesn't give out the same quality Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does. Arrow barely ever gives out the same quality Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does. I just have a affection for Arrow since I've been watching it so long. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is probably, with Daredevil, the highest quality comic book show you're going to find on television. And that is my top 11 list, or my 11 shows ranked. So let me know what you think. What would you put where? Which would you prefer? And thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you, and have a great day.